obsessions, and take a look at Halo's Scorpion tank from a more realistic perspective. The Scorpion definitely isn't the worst sci-fi tank I've ever seen, but that isn't to say that the Scorpion is really a sound design either. Obviously when you're designing a video game, what you're making has to look cool before it looks functional, and they definitely succeeded in making the Scorpion look cool. With that out of the way, let's get into it. First, let's look at the general information for the Scorpion. The Scorpion's official designation is the M808B main battle tank. It weighs 66 metric tons, has a top speed of 54 km per hour, has titanium ceramic armor, a 90mm smoothbore gun, and a single crew member. The Scorpion also has 4 individually moving sets of tracks. Let's take a look at what's wrong with the gun first. A 90mm gun is pretty small for a main battle tank. The last main battle tank to have a 90mm gun was the M48 Patton, which is a 1950s design. The 90mm for the Scorpion would make some sense if it was supposed to be a light tank, which would be plausible given that it can be deployed by air. But the Scorpion can't be a light tank because it has the title of main battle tank, and it weighs 66 metric tons. If you shave 40 tons off its weight, maybe that would make sense. But 90mm is still pretty small given that a lot of light vehicles nowadays have 105mm guns. Another problem is the fact that the gun fires armor-piercing high explosive. Not only did that ammunition go out of style in the 1950s, but it'd be highly inaccurate from a smoothbore gun, which kinda makes sense given the Scorpion's accuracy in Halo Combat Evolved. Though something odd about the round is mentioned in a voice line from Halo 3.
Hey, how does 90mm strike you?
In World War II, Japan made a composite armor-piercing high explosive shell with tungsten in it, in order to boost its armor-piercing capability, so it's a bit odd but still grounded in reality. A lot of people wonder why the Scorpion is supposedly firing armor-piercing high explosive shells, and I think I know the reasoning behind it. In-game, the Scorpion can efficiently kill infantry and tanks without switching ammo, so whatever round the Scorpion should canonically be firing needed to be capable of killing both tanks and infantry, hence armor-piercing high explosive. What they didn't realize, however, is that armor-piercing high explosive isn't actually all that explosive. I think they would have been much better off going with high explosive anti-tank, or heat shells, given that those actually have a very large explosive radius. Now let's talk about the tracks and suspension. The Scorpion's quad tracks are iconic, and actually not all that bad, at least not for the reasons that most people think. There's no real advantage or disadvantage to having 4 sets of tracks, except a little bit of space you lose in between them. The Scorpion's quad tracks are bad because they're independently hinged. So you have these huge tracks moving around a single hinge, which is bound to cause a ton of breakdowns, and probably inhibit the Scorpion's ability to cross trenches. Another thing about the tracks is that they're supported by a VVSS suspension system, which pretty much went out of style in 1943. Sure, it works for tanks that weigh about 30 metric tons, but when you're talking about something that weighs 66 metric tons, you're going to have some problems. Though it's cool to see that they're going back and looking at World War II era tanks instead of just whatever is the most modern. Now let's move on to the crew. The Scorpion is crewed by a single person, which seems like a really odd design choice to me. Not only does it make it harder, if not impossible, to do maintenance, but it also makes it harder to keep track of what's going on during combat, though the Scorpion probably has a lot of computers to help offset that. A really big issue is the hatch for the operator. Instead of a conventional hatch, the Scorpion has a giant metallic slab which opens vertically. I think you can probably see where this is going. If for whatever reason the electric systems on the Scorpion go out, the operator is basically entombed in the Scorpion. I don't think any normal human would be capable of lifting that hatch without mechanical assistance. Spartans would probably be fine, but I don't think it's very fair to the regular Marines that have to operate them. Another issue is the fact that the engine is mounted in the back, underneath the turret, where the ammunition should go. There seems to be a lot of empty space in the front of the hull, so I'm not sure why they put the engine in the back. I think if you move the engine to the front, there would be much more room for ammunition stowage. And finally, we get to the armor. The Scorpion is apparently still using titanium ceramic armor, which is pretty much what we use today. I guess in 500 years the UNSC still hasn't found anything better than ceramic armor. It's odd to me because I think I remember reading one of the books that Spartans have this special ablative coating over their armor which disperses plasma. I think that would go pretty well for the UNSC's main battle tank. Now I wasn't content to just sit back and criticize the Scorpion without seeing if I could do better, so I made a very rough mock-up of a fixed Scorpion tank. As you can see, the gun is significantly larger. Since it's 500 years in the future, you can say it's a railgun or a chemical gun or whatever you want. I also made it so that the Scorpion has 2 sets of tracks instead of 4. I gave the operator a regular hatch and moved the engine to the front. I also extended the back a bit to improve ammunition capacity. 343 Industries actually made concept art similar to this when they were developing Halo 5, but I don't think that replacing the Scorpion style to make it look more functional would actually be a good idea. The Scorpion's design is too iconic to change to make it look more functional. And that's pretty much where my criticism ends. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If it does well, I might end up making this a series.
Yaha! Sector's all clear. We've taken objective Alpha. Good work, soldier. Now I want you to push up. Aye, aye, Captain. Ah! Whoa, what are you doing? I'm doing the bayonet charge. Yeah, but why are you yelling like that? What are you, some kind of fucking maniac? Why are you being so loud? I don't know, I just felt like yelling. Okay, well, first off, you're yelling so loudly, they're gonna hear you coming anyways, and then you're just gonna get shot. And second, you don't even have a bayonet attached to that fucking thing. Well, what was I supposed to do? Tape a knife to this damn thing? What do you want from me? What I want from you is to take that goddamn objective without screaming like a fucking idiot. Is that too much to ask? No. No, it's not too much to ask. All right, I'll quiet down. So we're good then? Yep, we're good then. God damn it, there he goes.
In the entertainment industry, it's pretty common for the sequel to try and outshine the original. You can't dazzle the audience with the same bells and whistles you did before, unless you're Transformers. Ideally, a sequel strives to improve upon the shortcomings of the original while expanding on it and providing something new. My rule of thumb is if the next installment in a series takes what I liked and improves upon it at least 10% better, then that's a good sequel. Sometimes a sequel is so good and so epic, it can completely overshadow its predecessor. This happens in Hollywood, and it happens in human history. The so-called war to end all wars paved way for a sequel that would receive far more attention in books, movies, TV shows, and yes, even video games. It's just staggering to see how many World War II video games there are compared to World War I. Throughout the early and late 2000s, this genre really started getting out of hand. Like seriously, how many games needed to recreate the Normandy invasion on D-Day? Only one of them did it right, let's be real here. Prior to Battlefield 1, I'd neither heard of nor played a single game set in the Great War. And I imagine most people watching this were in the same PT boat as me. Don't lie to yourself, you never played a World War I game, alright? Even when I was in college, high school, junior high, no matter the teacher or what type of were in, only one of them did it right, let's be real here. Prior to Battlefield 1, I'd neither heard of nor played a single game set in the Great War. And I imagine most people watching this were in the same PT boat as me. Don't lie to yourself, you never played a World War I game, alright? Even when I was in college, high school, junior high, no matter the teacher or what type of history class it was, we always focused more on the Second World War than the First. Generally speaking, there's just an overwhelming preference towards it. I mean, the stakes were just raised tremendously on both sides, and the conflict involved nearly every single country on the planet. What I'm trying to get across is that making a World War II game is relatively a safe bet, because it's been done so many times before. Which makes it all the more ballsy for DICE and EA to create a World War I based game as the next entry in the hugely popular Battlefield series. I mean, no other franchise as big as Battlefield has ever gone to that time period. Hell, not even Call of Duty has gone back to World War I, and we all know how many freaking COD games there are. Look at this. Because of the presentation of this new direction, fan reaction was almost all positive. The trailers, man, you can't get more epic than this. Enemy Come on, Dad! The point I'm trying to show you is just how hefty a risk it was to make Battlefield 1 the way it is. to go where no AAA developer had gone before, to break the trend of futuristic mobility-enhanced first-person shooters, and return to the First World War, the dawn of modern combat. But was this journey worth it? Is Battlefield 1 a